Okay, all right, so let's start. I'm Cesar, and I'm very excited I get to talk about the Acumatica mobile framework today. I have been working with Acumatica for more than 4 years now. And in the past, I worked with a customization team, building customizations for partners. And for over 3 years now, I have been working with the development support team, helping partners to build their own customizations. Okay, so let's take a look at some of the topics we will be discussing today. First, I'm going to do a quick review of the mobile architecture. Then I'm going to run through a deep dive mobile demo where we will expose a custom GI screen to the mobile application and a dashboard. Also, we are going to see how we could implement scan fields in the mobile application. We will review some selector and tab display options, as well as do a quick overview on how to export mobile notifications to other instances. And last, we're going to experience the impact that workflows have in the mobile application as well. At the end of this presentation, I will give an overview of everything, and I will pass on some useful tips when working with mobile customizations. Okay, so let me say that the Acumatica mobile application is an out-of-the-box solution that gives users the ability to access Acumatica ERP from a mobile device, such as Android or iOS, in order to enter and manage their work documents. This application provides the user interface to access the data and functionality of the Acumatica ERP by using the predefined mobile sitemap. And this is the sitemap that comes with the application once you download it, which is different than the web sitemap. This mobile sitemap can be customized, which we will talk more about later. Okay, so the Acumatica mobile framework is a modern web development platform that provides key features. For example, the Acumatica mobile application connects to your ERP instance in real time, so users always have access to up-to-date information. Any Acumatica ERP functionality can be exposed on a mobile device. And also, the mobile application uses the capabilities of the mobile device, such as the camera, which is used in the scan functionality that we will see later today. And one of my favorite features is that you do not need to learn how to program for iOS nor Android in order to work with a mobile application. The framework gives you the ability to configure the mobile application by using metadata without having to code. Also, the framework contains the following components: native client application for both iOS and Android devices, and the Acumatica mobile API. And please note that an Acumatica mobile client application uses the mobile API to access the data of the forms that are mapped for mobile applications in the Acumatica ERP instance. Okay, so before doing the deep dive, this is a quick review on how to install and set up the Acumatica mobile application on your device. First, you can download the free Acumatica mobile application from the Apple Store or Google Play, and then you can install it on your mobile device. And once you launch the application, you can enter the URL, which is your server IP address or your server name, / then the instance name. And as you can see, you can set it to HTTPS or HTTP. And please note that this is the same URL you use to access the web Acumatica via a browser. So after that, you enter your credentials and then proceed to sign in. All right, let's take a quick look at this image that illustrates better the architecture of the mobile framework. As you can see, both iOS and Android devices uses the Acumatica client application to communicate with the Acumatica mobile API. The Acumatica mobile API then accesses the data of the forms that are mapped. The mobile sitemap is used to configure the user interface of the mobile client application. And I want to point out that you can expose any form of Acumatica ERP on your mobile device if the mobile sitemap includes the metadata for that form. All right, as mentioned before, the mobile sitemap is used to configure the mobile application. And mobile user interface consists of main and sidebar menus and the screens. The sidebar section contains information about the different accounts used to sign in, and you can switch between them, as we can see on the screen on the right side. Also, it has the links to screens that are marked as favorites, as shown in this section here, and the About section where you can see the version of the application and other service information. The mobile sitemap definition language code, this code, the MSDL code, is what you must use to modify the elements of the Acumatica mobile application user interface. Prior to Acumatica version 2018 or 2, you could use XML as a language code to build mobile customizations for Acumatica, but this was replaced with MSDL code because MSDL code offers more flexibility and it just makes customizing mobile way easier. You use MSDL to create or make changes to the mobile sitemap. As we can see on the screen, MSDL consists of these elements: instructions, object types, and constants. Okay, now let's talk about the WSDL schema. The WSDL schema of an Acumatica ERP web page is an XML document that describes all possible functionality of the web page, including forms, button actions, record fields, and table columns. By reviewing the WSDL schema, you can learn what to map on a mobile screen, and that corresponds to an Acumatica ERP form. And you can get the WSDL schema by clicking on Tools, and then from the drop-down, you can click on Web Service on your web page top right corner. We're going to see this in action later on the demo. Then you can click on the service description link of the ASMX file that opens up. And after this, you will be able to see the WSDL schema that contains the proper names that you need to use in your mobile customization code. It has the container names, as we can see on the screen, field names, and action names. All right, so before we jump into the demo presentation, I will be discussing each topic first and then displaying each topic's demo. I think that will be the easiest way. So let's review this code sample on the screen. On the left side of the screen, we can see the customization project editor tool, where and it has here the mobile application section, where you can manage the customization of screens in the Acumatica mobile application. Here you can add, update, or remove screens. Once you have selected a specific screen, then we use the MSDL code in the command section of that mobile screen to make our mobile changes. Here are some code snippets that we will use later in our demo. So I'm gonna go through them quickly now. So here, as you can see, I'm adding a screen. It's a GI screen. I'm passing the screen ID. Then inside, I'm passing the container and the fields that I want to expose in the mobile screen. I'm also mapping here the edit detail action. It's a container action because this action we will see later that is needed in order to have a redirection or navigation from a GI to the entry screen once you select a record. Here on the right side, we can see how to create a dashboard screen. And you can see it's very straightforward. I just basically have to specify the type as dashboard, and the framework will generate that dashboard screen for you. Please note that when you create a report screen for mobile, it's also the same approach. You just have to specify the type equals report, and the framework will generate that report for you as well. So these are the widgets that are supported as of now. So you can have data table widgets, scorecard, trend card, or chart. Below, we can see an example of how to add or include these new screens into the mobile sitemap, the mobile menu. You can set the display name if you to whatever you want. You can also set the icon if you need to, and you can mark that screen as favorite as well. All right, so let me jump now to my instance, where I'm going to show you a new custom generic inquiry screen that I created. So let me go there. As you can see, this is a very simple query to fetch sales order. And it's with conditions that are looking for records with status of on hold and open and of type sales order. So let's take a look at the results grid. These are the fields that I'm exposing in my GI. And now let's review the entry point and navigation tab. So the entry screen here, I set it to point to the source order screen. That's the screen that we want to have the record to be redirected to. And on the navigation, we can see that the key fields are properly set. Okay, so here we can see, before we see this GI into action, we can see that there is an exposed to the mobile application checkbox here. And I want to talk about the exposing this checkbox. In general, there are two ways of exposing a GI to mobile application. One way is by mapping or creating the screen for the mobile application manually via customization project editor tool, which we will see later today. And the second option is using this checkbox here on the GI screen. If you click this checkbox, it will automatically create the mobile screen and add it to the mobile sitemap for you. So this means that the GI screen will be accessible in the mobile application right away. But there are two observations I want to highlight. One, it cannot be further customized. So if you want to show high a field, for example, or you need to do any other change, then it won't be possible. The second observation is that it cannot have the redirection or navigation behavior in the mobile application. So if a record is selected, the record data container is displayed, but not the entry screen. So no further modification to that record is allowed via GI on the mobile. All right, so let's go and see this GI in action. So I'm gonna click on View Inquiry. And as we can see, yeah, it found 4 records with status open and 1 record with status on hold. So now if I want to test that redirection or navigation is working properly, I could double click on a record and it should take me to the sales order screen. So I'm gonna go and double click on the second row. And it works. It takes me to the sales order screen with the record selected. So now let's go back to the GI and let's go and take a look at the WSDL schema. As mentioned before, you can access a screen WSDL schema by clicking on Tools on the top right corner of your screen, and then on web service. Then on the ASMX files that opens, you can click on the service description link. And voila, here we have the WSDL schema. So I usually first check the content section. And here in the content section, I can see all the containers that this screen has available. Now, as we can see now, it has an action container and a result container. So I'm going to go ahead and take a look at that actions container. On the actions container, we can see that it has a cancel action, an insert action, and edit detail action. And please remember this one, because we're going to use this one to have that navigation behavior later on the mobile application. Let me go also and take a look at that result container. Okay, so here we can see the result container and the list of fields that we can use on our mobile screen. Okay, so before we jump into the first demo, let's see this custom widget I added to an existing dashboard screen. Yeah, so I added this custom widget that uses my custom GI. As you can see the open sales order records here and the on hold. And I'm gonna tap or click on one of these sections of the widget. And as you can see, it takes us to the GI and it's filtered for that status. We can see all the open status sales order. Now, if I double click on any of these records, then it will take me to that sales order screen for further modification of this record if I want to. And this is the experience that we are trying to achieve on the mobile application. So let's take a look now at the mobile customization code. So I'm going to open the mobile customization project. And as mentioned before, in the project editor tool, we have the mobile application section. So I'm going to click on that. And here we can update the mobile sitemap or the mobile menu. I can also update or remove an existing screen, and I can add a new screen. In this case, we're adding new screens, the GI and the dashboard. And so we're going to do that. I have already made the code for these demo presentations to save time. So you can see that here, this is my custom GI. So I'm going to go and open this and go over it. Okay, so I just want to show you the MSDL code that I use, very similar to that one on one of the slides. And here you can see I'm adding that screen with the MSDL code on the command section. And I'm using the screen ID, then I'm adding my result container that we took from the WSDL schema, and then the field names also from the WSDL schema. I'm also mapping here the edit detail action, and because this action is required to have that navigation behavior on the mobile screen. So let's go and take a quick look at the dashboard screen creation on the mobile. Yeah, I just want to go quickly over that code as well. And as mentioned before, this is very straightforward. You just have to specify the type equals dashboard, and the framework will generate that dashboard screen for you in the mobile application. So up to now, let's say if we publish this customization, you won't be able to access these screens in the mobile application. Why? Well, because besides creating the screen manually, you also have to include these screens in the mobile menu, in the mobile sitemap. So let's take a look and to see how we can accomplish that. So, and as we saw before, we can basically add those item screens to the mobile sitemap file. We can set the display name that we want. We can set an icon if we want to, and we can mark those screens as favorite as well. So now I'm going to close this and open the mobile application to see this in action. So let me get my phone and start the screen mirroring. Let's give it a second. So yeah, now I want to show you the same behavior we saw on the web on the mobile application. So let me enter that number. Okay. Okay, so I'm connected. Let me close this, and I'm gonna open now my Acumatica application on my mobile device. And as we can see here, I'm using HTTP, my IP address for my local instance, and the name of that instance. So I'm gonna try now to log in. All right, so while this is loading, I just want to mention that here, these bars will take you to that sidebar section. Well, you can have the user section, the information section, also about the Acumatica application. Okay, so now it has completed the load. Let me just tap on that 3 bars here on the top left corner. We can see the user section, the favorite section, and let me go back to the menu. So now if I scroll down, we can see all the screens are mapped to this mobile sitemap. And here below, we can see my custom GI screen that was mapped, and also the sales order dashboard screen. So I'm gonna go ahead and open that sales operation dashboard screen that we mapped. And we're gonna go and take a look at my widget. So let me scroll down. Okay, here we can see the widget, and I'm gonna now tap on one of the sections. Okay, so now as you can see, we have the same behavior as on the web. We can see the list of the sales order from IGI, and it's filtered by that order status. So I'm gonna go and open one of these records. I'm gonna tap on one of these records, and it should take me to the sales order screen with that record selected. And yeah, it does. So we can see here that I can further modify the sales order record if I want to. Okay, so now let me minimize this. And let me go back to the slides. Okay, so another thing I wanted to mention is how to export your mobile notifications to other instances. So let's say that you have your mobile notification on your Acumatica development instance, or your local instance, or an sandbox, and it is working properly for you, but you need to export this to your production instance that is hosted in a different server. So you can accomplish this by creating a business event that uses your mobile notification as subscriber. So we can see here. And then you can add this business event to the customization project under the business events section of the editor tool. So once you publish this customization project on a new instance, it will create that business event and also the mobile notification object as well. So yeah, let me just show you that quickly. So I'm gonna go back to my instance. And I have here these, let's say you have this mobile notification on your local instance, as we can see on the screen, and you want to export it to your production instance. Well, then you can go and create a business event. So I'm gonna go to the business event screen. And okay, and I already have created a business event to save time, but I'm just gonna go over it quickly to show you. And here on the subscriber, you're basically gonna link or use your mobile notification subscriber. Then on the customization project, you can go to the business event section, and here you can add that business event that you created. So when you publish this customization project on a new instance, it will bring your mobile notification with it. All right. So now let me go back to the slides, and we're going to talk about tabs and the scan field. So tabs on mobile can be rendered or displayed in different ways. Here, I want to show you a couple of different rendering options for mobile, such as the tab layout and the data tab layout. The data tab layout can contain only container links. And please note that these ones are displayed as a list of elements, and it does not link to containers. On the other hand, the tab layout indicates that the mobile application can contain elements such as other layouts, record actions, container links, among others. So here we can see a quick example of that. On the current screen, you can see two code snippets of how to expose different tabs type on the mobile screen. Later on during the demo, I will try to show the different rendering of these options. All right, so let's talk about the scan field. On your mobile application, you can add a scan field if you need to use the QR code scanner or the barcode scanner functionality. This scan field must be of type text, and it should set the special property to barcode scan, as we can see on the screen. Besides this field, you need to include a record action with the behavior set to barcode camera scan, as we can see on the screen as well. Please know that it's not required, but oops, I jumped too far. It's not required, but you can add a sound alert field if you want to, and you can accomplish this by adding a mode field that set the special property to sound alert. And please note that as of now, you can only add scan fields using text type fields, so you cannot add scan field on a selector field, for example. All right, and talking about selector fields, it is good to mention that selector field on mobile application has also a couple of rendering options. And these can be specified by using the picker type property. So you can use the attached option to display your selector as a pop-up dialog box on the mobile application, or you can use also the detached option that will open the selector in a separate screen. We have available as well the searchable option that enables searching values on your selector, and this one also uses a separate screen for that. The selector displayed format property. This is used to set up how the format of the field value will be displayed. And this one is very straightforward. So you can use key or the description or key description of that selector field. With the selector instruction, we can further customize our selector control in the mobile application. For example, in this snippet we have on the screen, the contact selector field seems to display 4 fields, but in this customization, we're hiding the contact ID field and only displaying the other 3 fields instead. And last, when you're adding a PX selector to a grid on the mobile screen, please make sure that you have added the PX selector control to the row template section of the grid control. This step is very important since mobile selector will not work properly without this. All right, so let's jump to my instance now. All right, so This is the source order screen. So let's take a look at the modifications I made to this screen. And let's start by highlighting the action, on-hold only action, my custom action that I added to this screen. And there is also this new custom tab that I included. And as you can see, it has a couple of custom fields and an attribute field. Please note that I also added an user-defined field here. And this one is using the color attribute field, which is the same one I have here on the tab. And let's go to the details grid, and where you can find a custom selector field I included here as well. Basically, a simple selector that selects from the department department table. Okay, so let's go and check the customization project that holds these changes. So let me go here and open the customization project. I'm just gonna go quickly over the changes here. And so let's start with the detail grid. You can see the SL line. This is a custom field with a simple selector that selects the department. Let's quickly go through the sales order. You can see here I'm adding my scan field. It's a text type. And also I have a description field. And let's quickly check the graph. Here I'm mapping that action, my on-hold only action. And here I also have a field updated event handler on that scan field, which is basically just going to select the stock item that matches that barcode that I will scan, and it will set, the inventory CD, inventory name to that description field. Okay, so let's go and see this in action now. I'm gonna close that and I'm gonna bring back my phone. Okay, so here I have this sales order open from before, and if I scroll to the right, I will see the custom tab here. So I'm gonna go and open that custom tab. And actually, before I show you this, I forgot to show you the mobile code. So let me show you that first. Okay, so let's go and take a look at the same changes I did on the web. Let's see how I can apply that to the mobile customization. So as we can see, I'm updating the sales order screen, and this is because the sales order screen is one of those screens that are mapped automatically once you download the free Acumatica mobile application to your phone. So it is already an existing screen that comes with application, so we're updating that screen. Here, I'm updating the order summary container, and I'm adding my custom tab. And in this example, I'm using the layout equals tab. And as we can see, I have two groups. One group is for my scanning, and this group contains my scan field and the custom description field. And the second group, I just want to place my attribute field in there. Here, I'm also mapping my on-hold only action that we saw before. And also I'm mapping the record action with barcode camera scan behavior that is required for the scanning field to work properly. If I scroll all the way down, we can see that I'm also updating that grid, that details grid. I'm adding my custom selector field and with the picture type as attached. So when I open this selector, it will be displayed as a pop-up dialog box in the mobile application. And I want to add this field after the branch field, this sixth existing branch field. So I want to place it after that. Okay, so now we are good to go to our mobile application. And as I was mentioning before, we can see that I have the two groups here on the mobile application. So I'm going to open them. And I can see here the fields that were mapped on the mobile file. So now I'm going to try to scan something. So I'm going to click on the scan button here to turn on the camera. And I have a couple of games here that I want to scan. So the first one I'm going to scan is code name. Where is the barcode? Okay, so I'm going to tap to scan. And as you can see, the scan field, it's populated with the barcode number, and also the description is set up as well. But I prefer the Yahtzee game. So I'm going to scan this game. Let me show it to you. Let me go to the barcode. I'm going to tap to scan. And yes, so this is the one I want to keep. So I'm going to click on the scan button to turn off the camera. Now I'm going to set a value here on the color. And I'm going to save these changes. Okay, so I want to point out that if we see on the section here on the header, we also have the user-defined fields. And this was automatically added to the mobile application, so I didn't have to make code for that. Okay, so let's go and take a look at that custom selector field on the details. So let me open here a record, and we can see that the selector field was mapped under or after the branch field as we wanted. So I'm gonna go ahead and tap on that field, but if we notice, we can see that there's no information, there's no records here being displayed. And we're gonna try to fix that right now. Okay, so let's go now and fix that. And also let's try to see another rendering option for that custom tab container. So let's go and do that. Okay, let me minimize this first. Okay, so first I'm going to try to fix that selector on the grid. And in order to do that, as I mentioned before, we need to add that PX selector control on the row template section. I already have that line of code to save time, so I'm going to go ahead and open the source order screen. And I'm going to edit the ASPX. And here I'm going to locate that row template section. Okay, so just to show you quickly, this is the grid, this is the details tab. I found the row template section. I'm going to just add that piece of line before the end of it, and it ends here. So I'm gonna add that PX selector control here on the row template section. I'm gonna save my changes. And now I also wanna do another change before we go back to the mobile application. I want to change the layout of that custom tab in the mobile application. So I'm gonna open my mobile customization project, and I'm going to open that sales order screen. And I already have that code snippet as well to save some time, but I'm gonna go over it now as well. So here I'm gonna basically remove my old layout and add my new layout, and let me save. So to go quickly over this, as we can see, we're also updating that source order screen. We also are updating that order summary, which is the header container of that screen. And I'm adding my custom tab. And this one is using the data tab layout, which uses the container link. And as mentioned before, this container link it renders like a list of elements on the mobile application. And also mapping here my on-hold only action. Here we can see the custom tab container, that it basically has these custom fields that we saw before, and the scan barcode action, so the scanning field works properly. And we also have the same change as before for the details, just modifying that details container, adding the field, placing it after the branch with the attached picker type. So it opens as a pop-up dialog box. So I'm gonna close these now, and I'm gonna publish my changes, this customization. And while this is publishing, I'm gonna bring back my phone. And a good tip or process is to always log out of your mobile application if you want to test changes that you have made to it after you have published a customization. So I'm going to go ahead and just get out of all this and sign out. You can also close your mobile application fully. So I also am going to do that. I'm gonna close that application and I'm gonna reopen it again. And this is just to make sure that there's nothing cached and you're always testing the last version with all your changes after you publish changes in your instance. So let's give it another second while it finishes the publishing. All right. Okay. And yeah, so once I log back in, I want to show you how the data tab renders in the mobile application. You will see the difference there. And also we will see how that custom selector now is working properly in the details section of that mobile screen as well. Okay, so the publishing process is almost done. It is done. So now I'm gonna close this and I'm gonna log back in my application. Okay, and once this open, I'm going to open my custom GI screen now, so we can see. Let's use that screen so we can see also how it renders on the mobile application. Okay, so it has fully loaded. I'm going to scroll all the way down. I can see here my custom GI. So I'm going to open that GI now. And now I am going to open the source order record. Let's give it a second so it loads. Okay. Yeah, so I'm going to just tap on one of these source order record. And this time I'm going to open the on hold record. And I'm going to show you the rendering of that data tab layout, which should be like a list of elements. And after that, we have one last demo before wrapping up. Okay, so we have the list of records now here, and I'm gonna go ahead and open this on hold record. So I'm gonna tap on it. Okay, and now I'm gonna scroll to the right and open that custom tab. So now we can see here the list of elements that I was mentioning before. You can see how it renders different than the data tab layout. So I'm gonna go ahead and tap on that record, and now we can see also how it renders the fields. So let me go ahead and I'm going to open an open status record. And I want to show you here, I'm gonna go to the details grid section. I'm gonna open a record, and now we're gonna test that selector field. Okay, so I'm gonna tap on that selector field. And now we can see that it's working properly. It's showing all the different options, and it's showing it as a pop-up dialog box. Here, the inventory ID field we can see below. This one is a searchable type of selector. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. So you can see this one has the search option on the top, and it opens on a separate screen as well. Okay, so let me minimize this. And let me go back to the slides. Oh, this did not minimize, so. Okay, so workflows. I wanted to remind you that a customization workflows will always have an impact on the mobile application. So you could use workflows to show and hide fields, for example, enable, disable actions, or enable, disable fields. So any customizations workflows you have on your web also will impact your mobile application. So lastly, I just want to show you this small workflow that I created so you can see how it affects the mobile application. So I'm just gonna go ahead and show you these changes quickly. So this is a source order workflow that I have that basically inherits from the SO workflow. And the changes I did was when a record is on hold. So let's go and take a look on the on hold section. So here I'm basically hiding the custom description field from our scanning section that we saw before. And also I'm enabling or adding the on hold action. So this action is available only when the record is on hold. So let's go ahead and test that. Let me bring back the mobile application. And now, so this record here I have open is a record with a status open. So now I'm gonna go ahead and show you the custom tab. I'm gonna open that container. And we can see here that the custom description, it is displayed. And this field should only be hidden when the record is of on hold status. And if I tab out and check on the actions, we can see here that there is no on hold action because that on hold action should only be available for on hold records. So let's go back and confirm that. This is my custom GI. I'm going to tap again on my on hold record. And I'm going to scroll all the way right to my custom tab. I'm going to open that record. And as we can see here, we cannot see it anymore, that description field, because it's hidden via workflows. Let's also take a look on the actions on this record. And here we can see that the on hold only action is available. So this confirms that the workflows that we have on that instance will impact your mobile application. Okay, so let me go minimize this now. All right, so I hope you could see why I was excited to talk about the mobile framework. It is just very easy to use and implement without having to code for iOS nor Android. And in summary, today we talk about how to inspect the WSDL schema. We also saw how we can add and update screens in the mobile application. We also experienced the GI navigation in the mobile application, and we saw how to accomplish that. Basically, you have to set the navigation on the GI web first. Then you need to map the edit detail action on the mobile file. And last, you need to make sure that the destination screen is mapped as well on the mobile file. In our case, the destination screen was a source order screen, and this screen, it comes already mapped by default when you download the application. If you want to download to a custom screen, then you need to create that screen manually, add it to the sitemap, and just make sure that it redirects to that screen. We also saw how we can export our mobile notifications from one instance to another, from one server to another, using that business event layer. And we talked about tabs, selectors, and how we can implement barcode scanning or QR code scanning as well on the mobile application. And last, we saw how we can we experience how the workflows will have an impact on your mobile application. Okay, so some final tips that I have are, for example, when you're creating a new screen, let's say it's a large screen on the mobile application, I suggest to do it by sections. This helps detect and fix any issues in less time. And also remember to log out of the mobile application to test latest changes, especially after you have published new changes that will affect your mobile application. Please remember that the names in the WSDL schema, they usually match the label name that you have on the website. And when troubleshooting a screen error, so let's say maybe you have a large screen that was working properly with an older version, and then you perform an upgrade, and now that screen does not open in the mobile application, I recommend to reduce it to a few fields only on the mobile file. Then you can reduce the screen graph to the data views only, just make it simple. And then last, you can reduce the DAG to main fields and remove any non-essential attributes. Okay, so here are some developer resources where you can find all the information from this presentation and most of the information that you would need to work with mobile customization as well. So yeah, you can go ahead and take a look at these sources. And questions. So are there any questions? And please note that if we do not have time to answer all the questions during this section, we will be answering them in the chat.
Yep. Thank you, Cesar. We have 3 open questions there. So one of them was, what emulator were you using for your development?
Yes, so I was using Reflector 3. It's not free. They have a 7-day trial, but I think it is a good emulator.
Okay. Do you know where people can get that?
Yes, so they can get that from the Reflector. I think it's a Squirrel website. I can probably later on the chat just provide a link there.
Yeah, just in answering the question, just provide it as a link. So
yeah,
that'd be great.
Yeah.
And then Harsha was asking about what mirroring software we're using for mobile demonstration. So it's the same thing, emulation and mirroring.
Yeah,
right?
It's the same. Yeah.
Yep. That's what I thought.
All right.
Oh, and then Jerry asked what parts of the presentation are now that you gave are part of 2021 R1. So what version were you using actually?
Yes, I was using version 2020 R1. So yes, I have the latest version there available.
Okay, great.
Yeah. So yeah, all those demos are available on the last version of Acumatica. Yes. And yes, I will be continuing answering those questions in the chat and providing that download link for that emulator. And before I end, I just want to encourage you all to get involved in our developer community. So please join us on Stack Overflow, check the developer section on the Acumatica site, and read our developer blogs. There are very, very, very good blogs that I will recommend. And I just want to thank you all for joining, and I hope you found this presentation helpful.
Yep. Thank you.